What's going on, everyone? My name's Eric, and today on the channel I have the privilege of showing you all one of the most holy grail Washburn dime guitars that's ever been released. And we have this. This is a USA Washburn dime slime. You have maybe seen these on the channel before. I got a couple of them, very fortunate and privileged to have it. This is another one. It's owned by my buddy. This one came in for a set, but this guitar is one of the most special ones for the entire Dimebag guitar line. Now, I know there are some limited release models that were only for like the Japanese market, or they were limited to like 100 or maybe even 7 or less than 7 models or something like that. I get it. Those ones are like super rare unicorns as well, but this one might be one of the most desirable ones because when you spin this guitar around, when you go up to the back of the headstock, you're going to notice that there is this little razor blade back here, and there's the serial number on it. And this razor blade that has a serial number only came on the 1995 model year. So this is the very first year of production for these USA Washburn Dimebag guitars, and these are apparently the holy grails of the entire Dimebag guitar line. A lot of the Dimebag collectors will say these are like the 59 Les Pauls of the USA Washburn Dimebag line, or even just like the USA Dimebag guitar line in general, just for how coveted and rare and just kind of special these guitars are. And it's not every day you get to see one of these in person, let alone just online or even for sale, which is, you know, how my buddy got this guitar. And, you know, for me, it's not every day you get to see one of these in person, play it, hang out with it, and it's an incredible shape for a 30-year-old guitar, which is crazy to think that this guitar is this old and still in wicked shape and still has tons of life left in it. So with all that being said, let's throw this guitar on the bench, let's open it up, and let's learn about the USA Washburn Dimebag guitars. Alright, here is the guitar on the bench. Look at that flame maple headstock top right here in that iconic dime slime finish. We got the string retainer here. That's going to help out with tuning stability on the Floyd Rose. We have this anodized plastic like truss rod cover here. This changed between anodized and like regular plastic and different layers of plastic through the production run. We got the Floyd Rose nut right there. Rosewood fingerboard, and these frets have been polished up super nice already from the previous owner. Seymour Duncan 59 in the neck. We got the tape around the screws and the pickup rings, just as Dime had on his guitars. Bill Lawrence XL500 in the bridge. Pretty sure this is original, and it is a gray wire as well. That's what Dimebag had in his guitars. We got this wicked slime finish right on the top here. This is an actual piece of maple that's on the top here. Some of these USA slimes had a plain top piece of maple like this, as you're seeing here. But more commonly, you would see these with either flame or quilted maple, and you really can't go wrong either way. This looks really similar to one of the Dime slimes that Dime was actually playing with Pantera. Really interesting three-way toggle switch. You could see actual like selector looks very different than like your standard Les Paul style toggle switch. We got the 2 volumes right here, 1 tone, all wired up. Output jack down there. We have the licensed Schaller bridge here. We got the Washburn logo on the side. This is again a Floyd Rose design made in Germany by Schaller. Looks deadly. These things sound great as well. Here's the back of the guitar. No back plate on here, but as you can see, there's the claw, there's the block. We got some Dunlop strap locks on the back here. All mahogany back. You can see here there's a little bit of a difference in the grain, so this was probably made out of a couple different pieces of mahogany, and I bet that was in part to how big this guitar is, and just trying to find a big enough piece of mahogany might be near to impossible. We have these back like metal electronics covers down here. Really good. I'm going to open them up later for you. We then have the set neck design right here. This is a V-shaped neck, just as all of the USA Dimebag guitars are. Scarf joint neck design here. This is very common on a lot of these Jackson guitars. We got the big old volute. That's to help with the headstocks breaking. And going up, you can see there is the Grover tuners with that very iconic razor blade serial number right there, indicating this is a 1995 first year D3. Alright, there's the back of the toggle switch. As you can see, we kind of have a different design of toggle switch here. You might see that kind of design on like a mini switch or something like that, but we have a full-size 3-way toggle switch right here, and these I'm pretty sure only came on the 95s with these 6-point connectors on the back here. Otherwise, I'm pretty sure they switched to a regular Les Paul style switch. In the back cavity here, we have this gold grounding plate right here. That's to help with the electronics and with the noise. Full-size volume pots as well, and there's a little piece of gold right here that is going to be screwed down when you screw the back plate on, and that's going to help ground it even more. You're going to ground everything to the metal, right into the wood. And yeah, really good attention to detail on these guitars here. Took a look in the guitar case really quick, and I'm pretty sure these are the original volume and tone pots. Just to give you an idea, these look pretty small in relation to these full-size CTS ones. So if I size these up, you can see how small the original pots were compared to these aftermarket ones here. There's nothing wrong with using the smaller ones here, although these just kind of look a little bit more appropriate for the level of build that this guitar is at. You can see we got all the factory wiring and factory solder points down there, and yeah, it might not be the best representation of Washburn back then, but if you upgrade the pots and you redo the wiring to fix a little bit of that extra ground hum that comes from some of these guitars, do a little bit of thicker wiring, it just looks way better and more appropriate for a USA custom shop guitar. Now we're going to set the guitar up. I'm going to change the strings, hydrate the board, and adjust the neck, and just get this dialed in. So first things first, we're going to dump the bar. I have this trem stabilizer here. What we're going to do, toss it in the back there. That's going to help keep the bridge pretty flat when we're working on this guitar. Then you're going to start loosening your strings. I'm going to have this drill bit linked in the bio. This makes my life way easier when I'm changing strings, and it's probably going to make your life way easier too. Strings are loose, so what we're going to do is just get them out of the saddles very easily like this with that same Allen wrench that will unlock and lock the Floyd Rose locking nut. At this point, I like to tighten up pretty much everything on the guitar, so that's going to be the pickup screws, it's going to be the toggle switch, the output jack mounting plate, and the washer and nut that are on there, Floyd Rose locking nut, and the tuners. Here's a quick close-up of the fingerboard and the frets. They are both really great shape. Pretty sure the frets were crowned and polished before it got into the hands of the new owner. The camera is not really picking up how dark the rosewood is right now. What I could see with my bare eye is that this is much darker than it is on camera. I might hydrate it just a little bit just to make sure everything's going to last for quite a long time, especially because we're coming into the winter months here. We want to make sure this fretboard is going to be in good condition for the really dry humidity that's coming our way. Alright, here are the screws that will clamp your strings into the actual saddle of the Floyd Rose. As you can see, these are covered in rust here. They move pretty fine, but what I don't want to see is all of this rust, which is, you know, moisture on the metal here, interacting with the inner parts that we don't see on those Floyd Rose saddles and actually causing more damage over time. So what I'm going to do is put a little bit of that 3-in-1 oil on these threaded parts right here, just so they are going to be sitting in there properly, and there's going to be a little bit of lubrication to make sure that these are going to be lasting much longer than they would be if they were not properly maintained. And that's something you should do on any sort of moving part or threaded part on your guitar that is not related to electronics. Something else I'm going to do is just simply wipe off a lot of this surface rust as best as I can. It's not going to be perfect, but that is okay. Here's the guitar so far. Everything is tightened up as much as it should. We just got it all pretty snug. Little bit of that 3-in-1 gear oil in the saddle blocks here, just so everything's going to be moving and not seizing because there was rust on it. I cleaned up the body off camera and it is looking really good. Shines really nice. Up to the frets in the board. Looking brand new. Up to the headstock. Looking so good as well. At this point, we're going to string it up. I have a set of 9s on it, and we're going to put it in D 425 Hertz. That is what Dime ran all of his D guitars in. If you want to see how you string up a guitar with a Floyd Rose, I got a couple of videos on the channel and a link to them. Otherwise, I'll see you for the next bit. Here's the truss rod on the D3. It's going to adjust just like it would on any other guitar here. I'm going to put some of this 3-in-1 oil onto the truss rod adjustment piece right here just to make it easier for the next time when I have to adjust the truss rod on the guitar. Alright, here's the 95 D3 USA Washburn Dime Slime all done up, all set up. I got a set of 9s on here in D 425 Hertz, as Dime would have had on his guitars here. Given we changed the strings from 10s to 9s and we tuned the 9s down on a short scale guitar, we did have to do a little bit of work on the back here. As you can see here, we got 2 springs in the back as opposed to 3, as you probably saw earlier on the guitar. A little bit of foam in the back under the springs just to keep some of that extra noise down when you are recording. The last thing I did on the guitar was remove the tone knob from the circuit. It's a really easy mod to do. Dimebag had that done on all of his guitars by his longtime guitar tech, Grady Champion. Does it make a difference to the tone? Yes, no, maybe so. Hard to say. I got another video on the channel where you can learn a little bit more about the tone delete mod and see if it's right for your guitar. Otherwise, let's take a hot second and just look at this 1995 beauty. Again, 30-year-old guitar, really good shape. I mean, there's a couple dings on the guitar. Not often you see these Dimebag guitars floating around in the wild, and yeah, every time they come up, it's just something special, and there's always something new to learn about these guitars. But the interesting thing is that this 95 Washburn D3 is a little bit different than the other D3s in my collection and the ones that I've played. Stay tuned for a full video on that because it's definitely worth documenting, and especially if you're trying to find one of these guitars, since they are all a little bit different from each other, and I want to make sure that you are all aware of that. Now let's get to some of the specs and features on this 1995 USA Washburn Dime guitar. All of these Washburn Dime guitars were made with a mahogany body and mahogany neck. As you can see, a giant slab of mahogany on the back right there. We also have a maple top that is laminated to the top of this guitar. Now, this one here is a piece of plain maple, so there's no figuring in it, and this is what a lot of the Dime fanatics call the lame top, because this doesn't really look as exciting as, you know, a piece of flame or quilted maple would be, as flame and quilt maple were most commonly seen on these USA Dime slimes and some of the bolts and a couple of other finishes as well. So seeing the lame top is usually not the most exciting, although Dime actually played a couple lame tops in his collection, you know, with the Volkswagen sticker down here. So if you are getting a lame top, like, Dime played one, and Dime played a quilted and flamed maple one as well, so you can't go wrong anyway because these are all sick regardless of the kind of top they have on them. Very simple electronics layout, 2 volume, 1 tone. Again, I deleted it. We then have new electronics in this. We get the full-size CTS pots by comparison to those original mini pots that are in there. Output jack right on the corner here. We then have the Washburn Schaller bridge. Bill Lawrence XL500 in the bridge, just as Dime would have had on his guitars. Gray wire as well, as Dime would have had. Seymour Duncan 59 bridge pickup in the neck. Very cool. We got the toggle switch up here, moving up to the neck and the fingerboard. Rosewood fingerboard, and for a 30-year-old fingerboard, the cut of rosewood on this is absolutely stunning. 22 nickel frets on a 24 3/4 inch scale. We didn't really have stainless steel frets in guitar production back in 1995. We also have these dot inlays, and this is just kind of how all of Dime's guitars were. We had the dot inlays. He didn't really go too crazy on his inlays outside of like a couple guitars that were made by Washburn. Flipping the guitar over to the back, we have a mahogany neck here. The neck is also set into the body. I'm going to try and see it right here. You can see the separation right there. So similar to a Les Paul, although the upper access heel right here is much more comfier than a Les Paul. The gloss around where the neck is set into the body, it usually cracks on these guitars, and it's just the gloss cracking. It's not like a structural neck crack or anything like that. There is just so much gloss that has to go on this guitar, as well as so much wood that has to go in to make this guitar. Over time, especially on these parts where like pieces of wood are meeting up with each other, like the neck and the body, like the gloss is going to crack here because it's not one giant piece of wood. So keep that in mind. It's just normal. It happens on these guitars. So if you're looking to buy one on the used market, like, you probably will have this on your guitar, and it's just totally normal. This is also the iconic V-shaped neck, which is like just synonymous with Dimebag and Dean Zielinski. This design was obviously brought over from Dean guitars and altered just a little bit with the rest of the body here, just so Washburn was able to make it for the most part. This is a very thin V-shaped neck. It's also a very like sharp V-neck. I love it. It feels so comfy in my hands, especially when you move up the fingerboard here. It feels really great when you're soloing up here and when you're playing chords down here. It just feels very natural. It's almost asymmetrical in some ways. It's fits right in the palm of your hand, feels really good. Moving up to the headstock, we got the Floyd Rose locking nut here. We got this anodized like plastic truss rod cover. Again, a lot of those changed, and honestly the neck profiles kind of changed on these things through the years too. Very interesting. Moving up to the headstock, very interesting on this guitar, there's a piece of flame maple overlay on the back of the mahogany when that is all painted in the Dime slime finish, so pretty interesting. We got flame maple up here, and then we got plain maple down here. Very interesting, not too sure why. Maybe it was just the cut of wood they had lying around versus what they could actually make another top with, and you know, that's just kind of how Washburn did things back in the day, according to Grady Champion and Nola England's video. Flipping the guitar to the back, we have this giant diamond volute, and this is going to help with that headstock stability. As you guys know, Dimebag's Dean from Hell's headstock broke like 12 times. Grady had to fix it all the time. So this was a way of reinforcing this break area right here. As you can see here, the headstock is tilted back, so this part is reinforced a little bit just to ensure that everything is gonna like stay stable and nothing's gonna break on your guitar. Especially for how expensive these D3s are back in the 90s and how expensive they are right now. You wanna make sure your guitar is actually gonna stay in one piece. Last but not least, Grover tuners on the back, 18:1 ratio, and you know, there is that synonymous serial number right there with the razor blade. Looks so good. Again, only on the 95 models. If you don't have a 95 model, you're gonna have this serial number printed in the back of the headstock, and it's gonna be printed in like some of those older Gibsons. And yeah, otherwise, super sick guitar. Holy grail to a lot of us Dimebag guitar collectors, and yeah, they just don't pop up, and they're super special when they do. So let's plug this thing in and let's hear how this thing sounds. And that was the 1995 USA Washburn D3 plugged in, and I gotta say, this thing absolutely rules. Like, V-shaped neck feels super, super comfy. The Bill Lawrence and 59 combo just sound like super deadly. So much articulation from this Bill Lawrence pickup. A lot of it has to do with it being a rail design pickup and a little bit of a lower output, so it just takes overdrive pedals really well. Super sick. The OG Schaller bridge just feels really great as well, especially with 2 springs tuned all the way down to D with 9-gauge strings. Feels really good, holds tuning really well. Electronics are great, especially after the original ones have been upgraded like this. There's no issues with this. I know a couple of these USA Dimebag guitars have their bugs, especially with wiring, but once you dial that out, like, these things are absolutely sweet. The cuts of wood on the guitar are just absolutely great. There's no fret sprout, there's no tall frets, sharp frets on a guitar that's 30 years old, and you know, it's a used guitar. I have no idea how it was stored or like handled over that timeline. I'm assuming very well for the condition that this guitar is in, but like, you'd think for a guitar that's going through different climates and just going through like time itself, like there would be some bugs, but like, it doesn't really seem like there are any with this guitar here, like especially on the frets. Like the frets are in fantastic shape, again, after they have been crowned and polished. And even when another friend of mine owned this guitar and he had a lot of work done to it, he said like this guitar was pretty well awesome, like right from when he bought it. And that was, you know, again, a 30-year-old guitar. Still is awesome. You know, look at that flame top on the headstock. It's so, so sick. And you know, the quality of woods are really great. I mean, you know, we could say what we want to say, but the lame top here, you know, Dime did play a lame top as well. If it was my money and I can only have like one USA D3, I would probably try to find like a slime with a quilt or a flame top, just because that stands out a little bit more. And if I'm paying primo dollar for these guitars, which is what they're going for, I would like them to kind of visually stand out, just, you know, a little bit more so than this. And if I throw a Volkswagen sticker down here like Dime did on his, you know, that's just gonna look the part even more. But yeah, like, this thing absolutely rules. Build construction is great on them, and yeah, it's just not every day you see one of these unicorns, white whales, whatever you would like to call it. And these guitars never show up anymore. Like, they're in people's collections. You don't really see them on stage anymore. A friend of mine who plays professionally was using like a USA Washburn like with his band, and that's kind of it. I mean, there's maybe a couple other people that are playing these professionally, but outside of the collectors, like, these guitars never really show up. They're kind of like kept away and kind of hidden, and you know, they're taken out for special occasions, kind of like a Cars and Coffee, if you will. And once again, super privileged to have the honor of like showing you all this, you know, spending some time with it, setting it up, and you know, just living with it for a little bit, because these things are awesome. They're wicked guitars. Yes, they do command some serious money, and you know, you can have your own thoughts on the prices of those things. It is what it is, but if you do have the opportunity to play one or even own one, like, you're gonna be very, very happy, because these things are absolutely sick. And again, if you're a huge Dimebag fan and you're wanting like a guitar from the Washburn era and like the Trendkill era all the way up to the Damage Plan era, like, these are really hard to beat, and they're fantastic guitars. And yeah, really awesome guitar, and there's not much else I could say. You guys already know my thoughts and opinions on these, and you know, the holy grail of them being like the 1995 first model year, super awesome in first impression. And yeah, if only I was old enough and like had a job back when these guitars like actually didn't go for insane money, maybe I would have bought a couple, but is what it is. I'm very happy with what I have now. And it's always cool being able to get these other ones into friends' hands, who then send them over for me to fix, so then I can show you. And you know, as well as what we're all doing here, all keeping the spirit of Dime alive, and you know, that's just what we want to do here. That's going to do it for today's video. Let me know your favorite Washburn Dimebag guitar down below. You know, obviously, you all know what my favorite one is. It's going to be the Slime. If you like this video, make sure you hit the thumbs up button. Don't forget to subscribe, especially if you love Pantera and Dimebag guitar content, as well as other guitar-related topics. And if you are a returning subscriber, make sure you hit the bell so you don't miss a single video that I upload. Thanks for checking this out, and I'll see you next time.